not about loud or soft, but there's usually some energy underneath it. Usually something that is propelling the speech, that gives it an undertow of either urgency, which keeps it from being overly relaxed only. So I'm just going to share a couple of things with each person, and please, Vincent and Jack and Ed, chime in as we go with different notes that you might have. Francesco, Romeo, you love that character, you love Shakespeare, and that comes through always. But you can't love every single word. It calls attention to itself. And it's not just the accent. It's that you're stopping after almost every other word. You can't, it's overloading, I think overloading. Just take the first sentence.
It's torture and not mercy.
Yeah. Just torture and not what?
And not mercy.
Yeah, next sentence.
Heaven is here, but Juliet lives. And then
No. Is there a comma after here, or heaven is here where Julia lives? You see what I'm saying? If you go heaven is here where Juliet lives, it weighs down the line. There's a flow to it. Heaven is here where Juliet lives.
Yeah, heaven is here where Juliet lives.
You can hit one word, but you have to get the flow. You cannot hit every other word. And I don't think it's just the Italian. I think it's a habit. Make it simpler. Make it conversational. Otherwise, you have the love of the language, you have the love of the Shakespeare. But you can't love it too much. It weighs it down. Marissa, the Juliet. Interesting, it played off of the Romeo when he came to you. Who was she speaking to?
I think to herself.
You think to herself. Who else could it be?
She's by herself.
Huh?
Yeah, and to give herself strength for what she's about to do.
Right. And what is she about to do?
Kill herself.
Right.
Well, drink this.
No.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe yes. She's not sure about it. Well, take this to stay asleep till he comes. But might be
What happens right before his speech?
she just say goodbye. Who was she with? No,
I'm sorry?
she was with someone, but with Nodriz, with the nurse.
Who is she with?
The nurse, la nodriza. No?
But you see, when you're doing that's the problem with these monologues. They come out of what happened before. And if you bring it out of what happened before, you don't even have to worry about what it's about. Because it immediately gives you a kind of jump right into it.
I think it's the same with the father, when he starts screaming at her and accusing her of destroying family. That's what she decided to do. She's afraid. That's the father. They shared that terrible scene with the father.
You think it comes out of that?
I think so. I know.
Who has the script? Anybody have Romeo?
I
Thank you, Francis. Would you take a look at it
Okay.
and see what it comes out of? Because we forget exactly.
It's
about the fake poison, right?
Okay.
the third
Well, we'll
and
come back.
fourth scene.
But you see, that's why any monologue has to start. Any monologue cannot start. It has to continue what's going on before. Emotionally, it has to continue what you just went through.
Thank you.
And so you're not starting anything with a monologue. You're action, you're continuing something that has not began at all. It's going on, it's continuing, and you're just reacting off of what happened. And you were starting it. And I think that affects how you do it. The speech from Julia, Jack, that Marissa did, we're trying to figure out who she was talking to. I can't remember.
Okay, she's alone on stage.
Well, we thought so, and then we said maybe it was to
Is this
the
the scene
father.
after her father? Is this the scene after her father and the whole to-do?
This is when she's about to drink this sleeping potion.
Yes, but what happened before? I can't remember, he's got it.
No, I think the scene before she's with Friar Lawrence, if I'm not
So
mistaken.
it's in another location.
I
Yeah.
think it's in the church.
Yeah.
With the,
Yeah, he's giving her the potion, saying you'll fall asleep, look like you're dead, and everything will be all right.
Right.
But she's about to do this, and it's a dreadful thing, because she's saying, well, what if the potion doesn't work, and I wake up, and I have to marry Paris?
Right.
Or what if the friar got the ingredients wrong, and it does kill me?
All right, so,
And,
But this is not Friar Lawrence itself.
No, this is in her bedroom.
It's in her house, she's calling for the
yeah,
nurse.
this is a
Yeah.
new location.
It's in the house, I think it's the scene after the whole to-do, when the father throws her on the floor and
She was speaking with her mother.
What?
She was speaking with her mother.
With her mother.
Yeah.
And her father, the scene, and her father
Same scene.
storms out, and then the mother.
And before there was her father.
Her father. Yeah, this is, she has nowhere to go anymore.
So it's not Friar Lawrence then?
No, it's not Friar Lawrence. He's long gone.
But,
She has nowhere to go anymore. Her mother.
no, but the
mother-
friar has already given her the potion.
No, she hasn't, of course.
Yeah.
It's in
I
the
see.
fourth act, the first
Yeah, yeah.
scene with the friar, second with the parents, and third with the mother.
Yeah.
And kids.
And
But
four?
the scene before for this character is the scene with the mother?
Yes.
Okay. So, and this happens how soon after that? Your speech happens, how soon after the scene? How soon?
I'm not sure.
10 minutes, half an hour, a day,
Hmm.
half a day, 3 hours? I mean, these are things that could make a difference, and maybe not. Now, what if it were 2 days afterwards, and you started the speech 2 days afterwards, and you woke up? Is that still the start of the monologue? Meaning, what would kickstart it if you were alone on stage, and you didn't have anybody giving you a cue, and it was the beginning of a new scene, and you had the first speech? Would you really be starting with the speech? What would you work on that would be the continuation of an emotional action that would go into the beginning of that speech? That's what I'm talking about. So it doesn't just start with the first line that you speak, but it comes from some impulse that comes out of sleep or whatever, some thought, you know what I mean? And you play that as you go into the line, I think. And that makes a difference, whatever that is. Maybe, I don't know what that would be. But it is something that would be important to have as you go into that speech.
What's the first line? What's your first line?
Farewell.
What's your first line?
Farewell, gods know when we shall meet again.
All right, well, that's pretty heavy. Is there an exclamation point after?
No.
So who's she talking about? Romeo? Or you? You're saying farewell, God knows what?
Well, today to Romeo because he was in front of me.
What's the
but-
line? Who are you talking about? Are you talking about you?
Yeah, her mother just left the room.
Mhm.
So
Her mother
she
just left the room.
Yeah, her mother just left the room,
So she's
said
talking,
farewell.
you're saying farewell to whom? Yourself?
And mama, to her mother.
You're saying farewell to the mother?
Like the mother
Does the mother hear you?
No.
No. You think? You're not sure?
No, I don't think so.
Well, it makes a difference. Makes a difference.
There's an exclamation point.
Oh,
Farewell.
okay.
It's like, oh my
After
God.
farewell, okay.
Farewell. She's under unbelievable pressure. She has nowhere to go anymore. Her mother is no consolation. Her mother walks out of the room. She's now left alone.
So that
With no
feeling,
choice but to now face this.
so the feeling that I'm getting from that description is the feeling that we all have felt when we're totally alone, with nobody to support us anymore. And out of that comes that beginning of this speech. So you're not beginning anything. It comes from that feeling of being totally alone, which in the end, we all are, supposedly. I've never been there. But when we die, it doesn't matter how many wives or family members you have that are around the bed, you're alone. And that's the reality.
There's also the
You know, you can have comfort, but in the end, you're by yourself.
Yeah, but if you look at the script, her next line is, I have faint cold fear thrills through my veins that almost freezes up the heat of life. She is at the end of her rope. This is not a casual, bye mom. She's at the end of her rope.
Right. And she feels that before she says it. Before she says
Oh,
it.
totally. She's,
Right.
that she hears the door slam.
Yeah. And that also gives the feeling, if there is a door
Well,
on the
yes,
set,
it wasn't, but
if
that's
there's
what
a door on the
happens.
set, that would also give you, as an actor, a real sensual sound to play off of. Nothing is more isolated than feeling somebody close the door on you in a way. Anyway, you get the picture. You want to play off of what is going on before you say anything. And I didn't get a sense of the depth that she was going for. Yet, but she's working. Chelsea, the puck, I think, is coming, but I think for me, you can have more fun with the words and the playfulness of what you're saying. Not to draw too much attention to the rhyme, you know, but to enjoy more, the sounds of what you're saying. What's the seriousness of what she's saying? What is the seriousness of what's happening? If any, is it all just fun and games? What's underneath that's serious also?
Right. Right, I mean, if you hated it, just think that you were sleeping and don't worry about it anymore, you know? If you hated what we did up here, you know, don't
boo us and
yeah,
throw
don't boo
tomatoes.
us and throw tomatoes and, you know, right?
There's a way to look at it, and Roger keeps bringing it up, and I keep thinking about it, which is true. Cutesy Puck is, it's a business
Yeah,
deal.
I don't-
It's
yeah.
a business deal she's
Right.
making with the audience. She
Yeah.
said, she's giving them all this stuff, and she's saying, but give us some applause.
Right.
But also she's saying, I'm an honest pup.
Mhm.
Or that
Right.
would make the whole
Yeah.
audience laugh. Siamo poveri ma onesti,
Yeah.
with the Italians, you know.
Yeah.
That audience would scream, I'm an honest pup.
Very
So
sincere.
it's a business deal. I mean, try it, I don't know if
Right,
it's gonna
yeah.
work.
That's
It's a
great.
business deal.
Yeah.
She's a wheeler dealer.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's the
When
fun.
she's-
That's the fun of it. She's dealing with her clients.
When she says,
You know?
you must give me your hand, also a possibility, your wallet's gonna.
Yeah, I don't think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll stress me.
Yeah. You know, these are her clients. And,
Yeah.
You know who's, Mickey Rooney is brilliant, and I can't figure out what he does, but it's brilliant.
He plays
It's
it.
cute, but he's a little boy. He was really a little boy when he did it, and there was such an honesty about it, an impishness about it. But I think it's a business deal. Look at it that way. You know, it's like, and also these rebels, you know, you can look at these rebels, come on.
And that is serious because it's a business deal and you're wheeling and dealing for some applause.
For applause,
You know what I mean? But I don't think she's gonna brown nose them too much.
No.
You know, she's still, you know, she's gonna, she wants to be light, but, you know, she's playing with them and, you know, kind of. You'd like to think if they don't applaud, she'd zap them in some way.
Yeah.
She would find a way to zap them,
Yeah, really sorry.
you know, and hurt them in some way, you know. I would like to,
Yeah.
that's just my
Yeah.
perverted sense of whatever. Yeah. So Nicholas, where's, yeah, Cassius. What I liked about, you know, both Michael and Nicholas, I thought you brought a sense of very contemporary, today about what you were doing. A very natural sense of it. But Cassius is also, within that framework, without losing what you did, there is so much in the description of what Cassius says to Brutus that has so much imagery that if it's just natural, you're not going to get it. The difference between doing that speech and a speech that Clint Eastwood does in a Western, and he's great at what he does in Westerns, but you don't see him coloring words, using and heightening the images so that we see them. And the beauty of working with Shakespeare is you get to do that. So if you don't do that, you're cheating yourself from the opportunity. You're kind of saying to the audience, I feel uncomfortable doing that, it's not real, and so I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to say it like Clint Eastwood would do it. Which is why Clint Eastwood isn't comfortable doing Shakespeare, or he won't. It's not that he hates Shakespeare, he just doesn't know, it's not his thing. But if we're going to do Shakespeare, then we can't do it like that. We have to bring our sense of reality and realize that the reality is in when you do heighten something like, my God, man, he walks like a colossus. Now, if we think of what a colossus is, this huge thing, and the sound of the word colossus, you can't just say a colossus. It's a colossus. Do you know what I mean? And that's not just for you, Nicholas, it's for all of us. Don't be afraid to do that. At the same time, what I said to Francesco, you cannot do it with every word, and you can't take a period after every word. And that was good, that you had a fluidity to it, but then you can also slow down in certain places and get those images and phrases that are very descriptive and have wonderful sounds, and that the sounds give us, even if we didn't understand English, the sounds themselves give us a feeling of what you're talking about. So if you don't give us the sounds, we don't get it. And then we stop listening. Because what we do is we say, oh, he's very naturalistic though. Well, that's, I believe him, but I don't know what he's saying. It's sort of the same with you, Michael. You were fairly natural. You were not as far along as Nicholas was. You were just kind of starting with speech, I thought, you know. But you read it naturally, but I didn't get a sense of any heightening of anything. So, again, that's the beauty of working with Shakespeare. It really encourages you to pick things that you can do that with, and then you have to go fast with the rest of it. You can't do it with everything. No, with Richard III, in the scene with Margaret, a good start. But for me, and I'd like to get feedback from Vincent and Jack, and anybody else who would. But for me, Richard III is not a good actor. He's a brilliant actor. Which means that he really fools Margaret into thinking he's absolutely in love with her. Which, and he fools him, he makes himself believe it too. He's not just in lust with her, he's really in love with her. And so, it's only later that he turns to the audience and says, I'll have her, but only for a couple of minutes, and then I'm gonna throw her to the wolves.
He's gonna kill him.
Yeah, he's gonna, you know, and he does it almost in the next 5 minutes. He says, you know, I'll take her and then throw her away. But while he's in the moment, he really means what he's saying to her. He says, take this sword and kill me. I mean that, kill me. I'm worth shit if you don't accept what I'm saying. You know what I mean? He has to be that convincing in order to make Margaret believe him, because she hates his ass. He killed her husband, her father, he killed everybody in her life. So within 5 minutes he has to win her over? How do you do that? It's impossible. The point is, it's a theatrical thing. Shakespeare does that brilliantly with most of his plays. He makes things happen within a few minutes that in a naturalistic play would take 10 or 15 minutes, maybe even longer. And the only way you can play it is to go for broke, you see, and really make everything, rather than laughing and playing irony and humor with it, he has to really be, I mean, there is some humor there, but he's charming her, but he's very serious when he says, kill me, it'd be worth dying for you. He's not laughing at that, you know? Anything?
Well, yeah,
Anything different?
no, he's totally believable. And it's early on in the play where we haven't seen through him completely, even though he does talk about his machinations and the plots he's in, but he should be totally believable.
Or she ain't gonna buy it. And what's fun is, then you get the laugh at the end when he goes, I'll take her and fuck her, and that's it, and I'll throw her away. And it's very dark and funny. But not in the scene. He's really going for broke. You got a good sensible language, and good start on it.
What did Jack have to say about it?
I think the line you might punch up is, nay, do not pause. She takes the sword, and then she hesitates. And they say, no, don't fucking hesitate, do it! And that, I think, is why he's believable.
Yeah.
Is that he comes up on that. I think that might be the key line to punch up.
He gives her the knife.
Yeah.
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 So, we're looking for the Margaret.
Anne, not
I mean
Margaret.
Anne, not Anne, I'm sorry, Lady Anne, not Margaret. Anne, I meant Lady Anne.
And Margaret.
Yeah, we're looking for
Yeah,
the
not Margaret. He doesn't want Margaret.
Lady Anne, I'm sorry, I meant Lady Anne. Chelsea, are you available to do Lady Anne?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe Chelsea,
yeah?
you could do the scene with Anne and.
So the whole scene done by tomorrow.
Really get going on it.
Go.
Yeah, The Winter's Tale, CJ, Tom, and Tom. Yeah. Again, Jeff made a point last Wednesday or Saturday, I can't remember which. How do we make these characters in a way clowns without overdoing the clowns? What's funny about the scene? If anything, is it a funny scene?
Well, the fun is that he wants to describe all this stuff, and that's not the point. And he's scatterbrained.
Right, who is scatterbrained?
The clown.
This guy,
Oh,
that guy, which guy?
the
You.
clown.
Oh, then I have to see that character.
Mary Lorne.
Who is
Mary
that?
Lorne.
Yes, yes, Mary Lorne would be perfect. Mary Lorne, she made a career out of doing that.
I know.
At